I thought that Adam Silver might have to call in Tim Donaghy down the stretch run of that game between the Warriors and the Lakers to ensure that LeBron and Anthony Davis and the Lakers were not going to be eliminated in a winner-take-all game against the Memphis Grizzlies, who obviously eliminated the San Antonio Spurs. But LeBron hit a wild three, credit to him, with the shot clock running down to win the game. I thought maybe one of the biggest plays in this game down the stretch was there's about 2 minutes to go, I believe. The Warriors were up 3. They had the ball. They were in a position where they could run some clock and also try to get a dagger lead there to go up 5 or to go up 6 potentially, given how well Steph Curry shoots from 3. It looked like Curry was in control of the game, and Alex Caruso knocked the ball away. Steph Curry turned it over. To me, the story of the second half was the Warriors had a lot of turnovers. They gave the ball away without getting shots up a lot against the Lakers, and ultimately the Lakers win and they get the 7 seed. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe to be a fundamental truth here. This game would have been a lot more entertaining if there was actually something substantial at stake. And what I mean by that is I will be very surprised if the Memphis Grizzlies go on the road and if they upset the Golden State Warriors. And I would have been equally surprised if the Memphis Grizzlies had gone on the road and upset the Lakers. But if this game had actually mattered in a big way, what I believe Adam Silver should have done if he's going to have these play-in scenarios is it should be 7 against 10 and it should be 8 against 9, and there isn't anything other than the one-game scenario so that you have an NCAA tournament impact and feel. As is, even as I was watching the Warriors-Lakers game, which was very entertaining, even as I was watching it, I was thinking, well, I don't feel like the stakes are particularly massive here because whichever team loses, I think will go and beat the Grizzlies. Now, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Steph and the Warriors put a lot into this game against the Lakers, and in 2 days' time, when they're playing in San Francisco, they're going to lose this game, and the Grizzlies will advance and be the overall number 8 seed. And certainly, I would imagine if you are the Utah Jazz, that's what you're rooting for, because I think you'd rather play the Grizz than you would play the Warriors, given how well Steph Curry is playing right now. But ultimately, I think that is the shift that needs to occur in order for this play-in scenario to make a lot of sense in the years ahead. But I'll be curious to see what kind of effort the Warriors can bring to bear on Friday. Props to LeBron, who hit a big shot with the shot clock running down under a minute to play. Low percentage shot that he wouldn't hit very many times, I would imagine, out of 100, but he hit it. And as a result, the Lakers were able to hold on. Also, you had the drama of the foul by Draymond Green late against LeBron. But again, if I have to go back and point to a moment in this game where I felt like the Warriors had a chance to win and really take control inside of the final couple of minutes of the game, if you go back and if you were watching, and by the way, I don't know how many of you stayed up. The game didn't end till almost 12:45, 12:40, 12:35, whatever the heck it was on the East Coast. Not an ideal time for a game like this to be taking place because I think a lot of the East Coast was already asleep by the time this game was decided. In fact, I bet a lot of you are waking up right now, and the first thing you are hearing about this game is from me right now telling you what happened. I stayed up. I was also doing a Fox News hit during live television during late night. I mean, it's like I'm on television or radio now almost every hour of every day. You can't escape me. I was also last night, I didn't get to see any of the game between the Grizz and the Spurs because I was coaching my Little League baseball team. And there were a lot of people out there who wanted to know, we got run again. We never really had a chance to win. I gave the best speeches I could give. I didn't put money on the table for them. For those of you who didn't know, we've been outscored 45-3, I believe it was. We lost 10-4 in this game. but we were never really that close. I think the closest we had it was maybe 3-1. But I didn't put money on the table for the kids because I was like, I don't want to be the guy who's suddenly giving money to everybody. But we actually hit the ball okay. I wasn't disgusted by our performance. I thought we finished the season about as well as we could have. We lost to a better team that beat us for a third time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm ready for this season to be over. I've got a 5- and 6-year-old game on Saturday. And then as soon as his game is over, about 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, I'm hopping into the car, and we are headed straight to the beach for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to take some days off. I'm going to do the show from Panama City Beach a couple of times as well. But now there is now that we've played all of these early games, and we got a game going on tonight, we'll see what happens with the Pacers going up against the Wizards. I would say that at this point, Russell Westbrook has the most at stake of anybody that is playing at this point because Russell Westbrook hasn't obviously been able to have very much success without Kevin Durant. So tonight's game for Russell Westbrook will be I think, seismically important game for him. And I think LeBron and Anthony Davis and the Lakers, I would have been interested to see how that game against the Memphis Grizzlies would have gone had they lost this one at home to the Warriors. There would certainly have been a lot more pressure on them going forward, but they managed to eliminate that pressure. Now they get several days of rest, and they will be going up against the Phoenix Suns. Does it matter what the seeding is? I don't really think so in the grand scheme of things because ultimately, if the Lakers are healthy and if LeBron's ankle is okay and if Anthony Mr. Glass Davis can avoid getting injured. And there was that one moment in the game where Anthony Davis fell on LeBron after LeBron had drawn the charge that they later overturned. And I thought to myself, this would be vintage Anthony Davis if he somehow injured himself and LeBron falling on him in the after the post-charge draw. But ultimately, I think Laker fans can breathe a little bit easier. You now get several days to get healthy. You're going up against a Phoenix Suns team that, let's be honest, has never won anything. And I don't feel like the Lakers are going to be intimidated at all about going on the road and worrying about home court advantage or anything like that. And then we'll see what ends up happening going forward with the other teams that are advancing. I think if you're a Utah Jazz fan, you have to be fairly happy because you're not going to have to play the Lakers in the first round. And so in general, I think the Western Conference, I expect for on Friday, tomorrow, I expect for the Warriors to beat the Grizz and for there not to have been very much drama. Now, I do think, again, if you were pointing to somebody that has a lot of pressure on them, I think Russell Westbrook is draped in pressure right now because he hasn't had a lot of success. If the Indiana Pacers go on the road and knock the Wizards out of the Eastern Conference playoffs, I don't think it really matters in any kind of significant way because I don't think the Wizards are going to make a run out of that 8 seed now going up against the 76ers. Like, I don't see that as being some sort of major issue going forward for either team. Same thing if the Pacers win. I think the 76ers are going to be fine. But I do wonder whether we end up, after all the extra games being played, if the Wizards win, then we end up with the 7 and 8 seed in the East. And if the Warriors win, which I would anticipate happening because the Warriors just played against the Grizzlies to figure out who was going to be the 8 seed just earlier this week. And I think it's very likely that the Warriors are going to win. And so we could end up with the 7 and 8 seeds and the 9-10 games didn't even matter because we ended up exactly in the same place we would have if we hadn't had the play-in games at all. Now, there is the positive of you got one more game in the great rivalry between LeBron James and Steph Curry, but does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? I don't think that it did and does at all.